start my recording. So here you see what I've given you to start with. This is in the file, in the folder. So you can either work with this or import it directly. And you can see it's kind of like, there's some stuff over the top of stuff, and it's CProp layer, but how big is it? How small is it? When I come over here, I can see it. It's kind of weird. How does that work? And here it is on a C size if you want to work it on a C size. I think this B size works just fine. So how do you get those things to work? Okay, because let's see what I'm in here. My units are decimal feet. So if I measure a distance, I like the distance command actually. From point to point, you can see that that's 85 feet long, or I can click on it and it tells me 85 feet long, north 4 degrees, 2 minutes west. So that's cool. Oops, don't need that. And if I get rid, oh, there's something there. Something under there. And there's something on the C thin layer. So there's lines that are on the property layer, and somehow underneath them there's something on the other layer. Anybody got an idea why I might have done that? Any good ideas on why I did that? Different things give me different information. Okay, these lines tell me each line of the boundary. But if I turn that layer off, now I have information about each lot, which tells me the area and the perimeter. So that's a really cool thing to know. Okay, so depending on what I want to do, I put it on different layers. Now, I really probably should have put this on a layer called lot. Would have been smarter, but it's okay. And so there are times when I would want to see one and not the other. So I could turn off, say, C thin, and now all of a sudden I see my property lines. So this is how layers work. You have to sort of know what's going on. Now, as you can see, my layers look terrible here. They're too small, but that's okay. I've got my layouts, it's my pieces of paper set so that I can show different things. And you can see I put in, this is an old one, I just put in some elevations that I might use on here just as an example. So now what's really cool, look, I'm selecting those, but I'm not selecting my property. My property is in a viewport. Now I can touch my property. And when I'm in my viewport, I can freeze certain layers. So I froze the layer that gave me my property information, and I kept the layer that shows the property itself. And when I go back and say, just look at my piece of paper, now I'm just on my piece of paper. And I can type whatever I want. Go to a layer I can type on. Do I have a text layer? Yes. DT, center, 2. And you see that text shows up on my piece of paper, but not in my model. So if I want to show this again on another piece of paper, I don't have to redraw it. I go to my other piece of paper, and I said, go to my layout, oops, and I'm going to put a no print depth points layer active. I'll go to my layout button, and I'll put a new layout in a new viewport in place. And there it is. And if I say I want to make it active so I can actually adjust it, now I get my scaling. What was that, 1 to 40-ish? And if I don't want to accidentally mess that up, I can lock it. Now I don't mess it up. So Wasan, what you would do in Revit, so Rokai, my voice should be working. I'm not sure why you can't hear it. I think it's on your end. You might have to get out of it and come back in. Because I think other people are able to hear it right now. And it's showing up on my microphone that it's working, and I'm picking it up. So, Wasan, when you do it in Revit, you're going to import this, and you're just going to pick as you make property lines. Okay. But here now, I can write something else. You know, now maybe I can write T. I'll write something else over here. So I get to use my same drawing again, but I can put different information on it. Things like this one, I might put the lot areas. This one, I might put the drainage, or actually, I'm going to note where the building pads are and things like that. Okay. So on this one, if my building pads aren't really part of my model, I can put them over here, or I can put them in my model. See if I have one called building pad. I don't, but I'll put it on something called Topo New. So now if I put my building pads on here, There they are. They're in my model. It's a good, interesting part of my model. It's not an annotation. When I come over here, I go, I don't want to see them. I want this to be clean. So I'll go to my paper space and say, go to my model. And in this viewport, freeze it. Thaw it. Freeze it. Thaw it. Freeze it. I don't want to see it. But over on my other one, oh, I do want to see them over here. That was the whole idea. And now I can put text as to what size or try that again. And maybe lot area elevation of each building pad. Okay?
And that's on the C-side drawing.
Well, it doesn't, I mean, I just happen to have two templates here for you to use. If you want to do another B size, right, you just click, right click, and move or copy. And so I'll create a copy of my B size and move it to the end. Now I've got a new one down here. And everything is all set the same. It's in the same place. Everything's cool. Everything's good. And I can call this one thing. This one another thing. And now I've got two versions of it. And of course I can get rid of this and do my new work right here. So I don't care. I just gave you two templates on this one to work with if you wanted to. But the property lines are there. So all you really need to do is go. Sarah, draw. So the question is, where do you find that? It was, I think it was on the last one actually. There it is. And the chart, oh, lecture topics, where is it? Let me get exactly where it is and I'll put the link in. Here it is right here. There we go. So now you can get to that file. Okay, so that's essentially how you go ahead and work with this file. How would you make that table now? Let me make another copy of it. Move or copy. Create a copy, move it to the end. So this is going to be my, and I'll rename it tables. So here I am, and I need to get rid of the, where's my viewport? It's there. Sometimes I have to move this just to get to where I can see my viewport. Where is the viewport? That's interesting. Where'd my viewport go? Oh, it's probably on a frozen layer. There it is. It was on a weird layer. Oh, I got all sorts of cool stuff on here. That attribute thing is for another class. Actually, we'll probably use it in this class when we get to that part. Okay, so now I want a new table. So I can give it, I'll put it on the text layer. And there's lots of ways to make tables. One of them is under annotate and make a table. And you can set it up. How many columns are there? I don't know, you have to go look. Let's say there's 5 columns and there's, I think there's 9 data rows. And we use a standard style, start from an empty table. Or I can link it to a piece of Excel. Or I can get it from data, from the drawing extractor. It's so cool what I can go do here. So now I can start typing stuff in. Double click. Come on, I know I can do it. I prefer actually to work in there we go. Tab, 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 tab. So you can just put a table in all on your own, or you can insert a spreadsheet. Let's go to Control C, Control V. So if you have your stuff built in a spreadsheet, you can just Control C and Control V. Or you can link the data from a table to a spreadsheet. And so if you want to do that, I'll let you get with me during office hours at some point. It's a little bit more involved, and I don't think it's really necessary. Most of you are not going to be living in this world where that becomes super important. So this is how you put your tables together. and you can just type in your values. Okay, just have your calculator ready. Personally, I usually do this. I make an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, and I just pop it in there. If you want to link this, see, table, edit. Where's my table edit? That's not where it is. You go back to insert. There it is. So you can create a link manager. So I can create a new link, data, and then I can go find the file. I don't know where I've got a file. I don't think I have any in there. I don't know where I have any right now. There we go. And I can go to arrange or the entire sheet or link to arrange if I want to go get it. But I'll do the entire sheet. Preview is too large. And so now I have a data link set up. So I can set this one. Well, let me just try it with a new one. And where to go? I know it can be there somewhere. Okay, well, I'm messing that one up. Or it's still thinking. Okay, well, I bought that. So don't link your table right now. I'll get that one right shortly, but I just locked up my AutoCAD. So now I really have to get it. There it goes. Oh, it made it. It was just thinking really hard because it was so big. Because there was a ton of stuff in it. So there it did. It went and got that data from that file and created a link for me. Of course, yours wouldn't have all this stuff. It would just have the stuff you wanted. What's really cool is if I go in and change one of these things in my file, it changes it here. Okay, so that's how you do data link. This is how you just import the data. And this is how you just type it in yourself. Any of those methods work. I don't care. I mean, gosh, if you want to, you can go DT and just start typing. I wouldn't use middle centered. Right? But you can just start typing your data if you want. You can, if you want, draw a box, put some information in it. And make an array. Excuse me. Just that you have to explode it. So I don't care how you make it. These are all just kind of cool ways that you can go about using your text to make your tables. Again, and I'll maybe do a specific video on the calculations, but it's just a ratio, and I'm not positive how I'll explain a ratio other than saying it's one thing divided by another. That's all there is to it. And you should be good at looking at columns of numbers and finding ratios. It's something that you need to be able to do as a designer, to look at things and go, aha, those are all the same ratio. Now I know how it's designed. It's just a trick of designers that needs to be able to be done so that you can look at those things. But I'll do a little work on that for you. So, so Wasan, hidden line? Yeah, it's okay. You can go into your properties. I know that was a while ago. You can go and change what property lines are, but that's okay in Revit. So long as you're using their standard, it'll be okay. And I'll go into that on Thursday. Okay, so at this point, you should be able to create this drawing, and where that was on attributes, I think. We're using current viewport. No, where was that one? Survey lines. There we go. Isn't that cool? So this was that manhole thing I was telling you about. And so if you can take the data with the this is basically your site. If this is where your site is set up right on top of that thing, you can do your views to each one of these and draw it based on your bearings, or you can be over here and you can read a poll and then you can transfer all your numbers to there. But that's basically how a survey would work.
Hey, Randy.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of that little small rectangle on the bottom there at the end?
This one? That's probably
Yeah.
that's probably in one of the versions of what I did, an easement that says that the city gets to use that for something. I use this over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I think in one of my previous ones, that was a bus stop. and the city had an easement there.
Got it.
So you can like either ignore that or use it in this one. Won't matter. Looks like it's a property. You'll find cities take pieces of property and it's probably owned by this person, but the city probably has an easement, and it could either be a stormwater retention pond or a bus stop or a place where they're putting a sewage pump or right? Cities need pieces of properties to be able to deliver their services. Cool. And that looks like an origin that I put in at some point. Cool? Okay, any other questions on this? On Thursday, I'll show you how to take this and put it into Revit. Now, yours won't have these, right? And you are going to have to learn how to draw the section drawings, but we'll do the section drawings later. Okay? I think that's the topic of the lecture on Thursday, section drawings. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.